So sir, we know that India has seen a huge revolution with digital payments. We all thought that India is a place, at least the West thought that India is a place where many people do not get a square meal, right? That was the narrative some 30 years ago, and not many are literate, people cannot read. Um, but then we have now shown that digital payments, number one is India, while people thought that it wouldn't even come to top 50, let alone number one. I think immediately after UPI, the next big revolution, personally I think, is in education. And the complete homework for this has happened in the form of NEP, the documentation of which many of us have read and realized that it is too good to be true. Followed by which we got NCRF framework done, which is the National Credit Framework, surrounding which we will be discussing today. Sir, my question is, do you think NCRF plus NEP put together will be the next big revolution after UPI in India?
Absolutely. And why I think so is because in education, the last policy came up many years ago, that was in 1986, which was slightly tweaked in 1982. And thereafter, so many changes have happened in the real world. So many changes have happened in the requirement of the industry, requirement of manpower for the industry. However, there were no corresponding changes which happened in education system. So therefore, I feel that this was the right time when we brought in the Education Policy 2020. Honorable Prime Minister declared it open in July 2020. And we recently celebrated the 4th anniversary of NEP 2020. NCRF has been brought to implement the intent of 2020. 2020 is a policy, the NEP 2020 is a policy, and for implementing a policy you need a framework. Now, why we call it a framework? We call it a framework because this is very flexible. This allows you all the innovation, the way you educate your kids, you educate your students. Still it provides you the basic guidelines, the framework, the outer layer it provides. And that layer is mostly the enabling layer. That is such an enabling layer that it has broken the shackles which were there in the education sector, right? So yes, it is a big revolution, and this is going to change the way we have been educating our kids, and this will be a game changer for rest of the world as well.
So sir, I think let's go with this example of, let's say I started off living in a small 2 BHK apartment, and I slowly developed my kitchen to add to my taste buds in a way that it's convenient for me.
Right.
And one fine day you came and you changed my kitchen completely. I was using a bicycle, I moved to a scooter and a car, and now you're asking me to fly and you're giving me an aircraft. NEP sounds more like that for me. How do I do the transition? I fear that I will crash if I use an aeroplane without training. I'm talking about all the teachers in the country, all the schools in the country. We have been driving buses at max. Now we should fly. How do we do this?
Okay. Look at the requirement of the industry. The requirement of the industry has been moving very fast. The technology is emerging every day, and the industry is moving with that speed. So when a student is coming out of your institute and is going out in the market, he finds that whatever he has been taught has no relevance to the real life world. When industry is moving that fast, when the requirement is moving that fast, don't you think it is important for us to change?
Yes.
How long can we wait? Yes, it will take a lot of effort for every one of us to adapt to this change. But this change is going to be not only beneficial, but also very facilitative for all of us, very liberating for all of us. This is going to be highly liberative and choice based system. There are number of choices which are available to you, which are available to every student. Yes, when we introduce a new system, we have to really create new things, create new ways of doing things, learn something new. But once we learn it, there is no limit to innovation and creativity which this will bring.
So there's going to be a learning curve here. You mean it's going to be difficult to fly a fighter jet?
Not
but
really
it's
difficult to fly, because all of us, we have that kind of vision, that kind of innovative minds. Only thing is that we were not translating our vision and innovative minds into the education sector, whereas we are applying it elsewhere.
elsewhere.
Everywhere else, no, we are moving very fast. It's only education, and I think the education sector is the smartest sector, which is very good at learning. And I'm very sure that learning this new way is going to be fun for everyone. And I can tell you that already a number of institutions have adopted the NEP and NCrF to varying degrees, and wherever they have adopted NCrF, they are much happier,
I see.
and students are even happier.
So then I have spoken to many academics. Most of us do not understand NEP, let alone NCrF, which is the next step on how to implement NEP. If I can request you to give me an elevator pitch for NEP and then an elevator pitch for NCrF, for the exclusive reason that I want to copy paste it and then convince people. What is that elevator pitch for NEP?
Okay. See, if I talk about one simple line on NEP and NCrF, that is, it is creditization of all learning. It allows for creditization of all learnings, whether in academics or in skilling or in experiential learning. And all these three kinds of skillings are required in the real world. So when I am preparing the students for next generation, for Viksit Bharat 2047, it is but natural that I would like to skill them as well. And people who are already skilled or who are already in the professional area, there the experiential learning would play a big part. So creditization of all learning, academics, skills and experiential learning, that is one. Second, I would say, is multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity. That is how the world works. You show me a single piece of technology which has been created by single department.
Yeah. Good question.
So therefore, all of us, we have to work in tandem with each other. So that's the second. Holistic education. We don't have now the concept of co-curricular and extracurricular. Everything is curricular. It is the way you define your curricular structure. You have place for everything. All kinds of learning are being creditized, including learning of soft skills, employability skills, life skills, your hand skills, your cognitive skills. Now for everything, you define it as learning.
Right.
And then multiple entry, multiple exit. Anytime you can get into education, anytime you can go out. It's all very flexible.
So that there is no dropout.
There is no dropout. So these three things, coupled with use of technology and multilingualism. So this defines basically the NEP and NCrF in short.
Right. Perfect. So one problem that we all have been watching India suffer and struggle is this typical mindset of I want my daughter to be a doctor, I want my son to be an engineer. Don't you think if we create a gamified approach to credit systems, everybody will come to the same passage and would like to go to the same destination? How do we achieve multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity when everybody wants to get into, let's say, CSE discipline or medicine discipline?
Okay, you look at the kind of the requirement of infrastructure India has today. No, whatever infrastructure we created in last 70, 75 years, we are going to double that infrastructure in next 10, 11 years. And when we approach 2047, maybe it is tripled. So I need more number of civil engineers. I need more number of mechanical engineers, more number of electrical engineers, more number of other branches, even liberal arts, social sciences. If I want to be an evolved society, I would need a proper mix of all kinds of educated people. So this is just a bhed chal that people are just joining CSE, and there are no students, or there are very less number of students in other branches, and we are already seeing the fallout of this. No, you can see the fallout. You can see how many engineers are there for designing our bridges. You see what happened last 6 months. Okay, so we cannot really ignore that. Though this is a temporary phenomena, that wherever people feel that there are more number of jobs, everyone is running towards one particular branch. This branch is equally important because AI is also very important. But along with it, we have other branches. Yes, now along with mechanical engineering and civil engineering, we must also teach computer science. That is the time. And that is where the interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary approach would come. You imagine a doctor. Today, if a doctor knows only about his own profession, he is unable to operate any of the new technology machines.
Correct.
Any laser-based machines, any automated operating machines, robotic processes, they are unable to operate. So they'll have to learn the skills in the other areas as well. And all these are skills. He need not learn about the theory of the robotic process automation, but he must learn the use of that robotic process, and that is skilling.
Right.
Okay? Therefore, along with theory, skilling is equally important, and this is important in multiple areas. And therefore, multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity, and interdisciplinarity.
Wonderful, sir. So what we can now do then is, let's take a case study based approach in understanding this problem of me and you want to now design a BTech in CSE syllabus or BTech in AI syllabus that is NEP compliant under the NCrF framework. How do we start?
See, if you are designing a course in CSE and you want to start with this concept, along with your theory, you already had labs, but few places they were only teaching theory. Teaching theory is not sufficient. If you want the student to really understand and apply that concept practically, along with theory, you have to have a lab. And this has always been there in all other countries. Even when I did my computer science, computer technology from IIT Delhi, we had a corresponding lab. It was not all theoretical. Okay? So those courses are skill-based courses. So you divide every subject into theory and its application, how you apply that theory, and those are skill-based courses. Similarly, you can also include internships, projects, apprenticeships, or on-the-job trainings as part of the practical work, part of the skill-based learning which is occurring, which you are going through.
So then this looks like, let's say my student stays for 1 year with me in the first year, and the next year for 1 full semester, the student can be missing in the campus, but goes out and does an apprenticeship, internship, and
Absolutely.
we should encourage that.
Absolutely. You can do that, provided in the first year you don't teach him the same mundane subjects which you have been teaching him in 12th class.
Right.
So you don't teach him some extension of BSc physics or BSc chemistry, and you give him the actual knowledge of computer science right in the first year.
So that he is prepared enough to
He is
go
prepared
out.
enough to go out. And now the NCRF allows that up to 50% of the time he can spend either in online learning or in apprenticeship or in recognition of prior learning or even internship.
That's that's unbelievable, sir, that 50% of the time, which means 2 full years in a BTech program, a person can stay outside the campus
Yes,
and do internship, apprenticeship, and then come
but
back.
there is a catch, and that catch is very important. The catch is that whatever time he spends outside the campus, for each hour of his learning outside the campus, his learning outcomes will have to be defined properly. The learning outcomes and their alignment with the overall curricular structure. And then once he comes back, we have to test the learning outcomes. So assessment method will have to be specified beforehand, that this is the way I'm going to test you.
Right.
So he goes out and then he comes back after learning and you again test him. If he passes the assessment, he gets the credits.
Okay. So here is where I have fraught with some inhibitions about the entire setup, where you are simply assuming a lot of integrity from the teacher side, university side, and a lot of integrity from the place where the person goes and works and comes back. We all know a lot of scandals. I'm not talking about our country, I'm talking about Mother Earth. Globally speaking, there are a lot of places where you can go get an internship certificate by paying some money, right? Although we can keep that a check, it is not easy for us to keep some zones green, some zones red. Operational cost for that will be very high on where you can do internship, where you cannot do internship. This will open up Pandora boxes eventually. What's a quick and low budget hack for this, so that I know the student is learning, the student knows that here is a genuine place, and the person there also knows that we should not cheat. It should be value for the times that the student
What is the
spends.
guarantee that the student is learning in the campus? Is there a guarantee? Is there a check?
Absolutely.
There is no check.
No, nowhere in the world.
However, when we decide on the companies where the student is sent to learn, the guidelines under NCRF as well as the UGC, they provide for some kind of a joint assessment which is formative. That means as the student goes along on that training or on that internship, he is given a project and he is putting out whatever he is learning of the project, either online or with some time stamps. It is being documented. Now what NCVT has done, NCVT has videographed every assessment. There is a provision that without videography, you cannot issue a certificate. You just imagine a person who is a technician and he claims that, all right, he is a good technician and he can repair any kind of car. So he repairs, he opens a BMW engine and totally overhauls it, assembles it together, runs it, tests it. Okay? And all this is done in front of camera. And that camera is not handled by him, it's handled by an assessor, which is duly appointed by the awarding body, which awards the certificate. And then that video is kept forever. So you imagine, won't you feel that that guy deserves to be given that certificate?
Absolutely.
So credibility and integrity of the system will have to be ensured by us. Now we just cannot presume that everyone is bad. Yes, If everyone is bad, then what is the guarantee that the education system is giving us anything
Very
worthwhile?
I think that's a nail on the head, where I think we all should pause for a moment and then think, is our education doing what it's expected to do? Again, I repeat, I'm talking globally here. I've seen lots of videos from top Ivy League students complaining, saying that I paid so much for a bachelor's degree, I get close to nothing. I can go to a library and read the book, I can watch the YouTube videos. Why should I come to the university? The university is not giving me what I thought it would. Now, that being the case, experimenting something like this, I don't think will be damaging. I think all the institutes should come out of their close mindedness, if any, and then try out the NCRF framework where up to 50%, again I repeat, whenever I heard this, I missed the word up to here. I think we have to pause there and then understand that it's up to 50, it can even be 10, it can even be 5. Up to 50% of the time the student can spend outside their bachelor's curriculum, looking at, let's say, the place where I hail
that's
from.
not outside bachelor's curriculum. That is part
of
of the
bachelor's curriculum, outside the compounds of his institute.
Outside academics.
Academics.
Okay.
Perfect.
Outside academics.
Correct.
And this is the question of engagement. If I engage with my students, that is why students are crying that we are going to an institute and we are
There's no engagement.
No, there's no engagement by the teacher, there's no engagement by the institute. There is no engagement by peers. There is no engagement by industry. And he says it rightly. And the answer lies in this new framework.
And no harm in trying this, as you rightly say.
No harm. And students are loving it. Students are loving it. Students are getting jobs. Institutes, some of the institutes may feel shy for initial period, but whoever has adopted this is much happier. In fact, AICT adopted this last year.
I see. So although that's where my next question comes. AICT says it can be adopted, but colleges that are approved by AICT, let's say a state technical university, may not know these rules. Of course, it's a matter of time, they will get to know. And worse even is the universities that are institutes that are affiliated to these state universities, they absolutely have no clue what is NCRF. To this tune, I think we should of course apprise them, go and talk to them and then educate them. But over and beyond this, there are some subtle problems that I realized we have, which is not appearingly at the surface level, which is the student teacher ratio. Now, if I realize that, assume in my college, up to 50% I can make my student study as part of internship, apprenticeship, going outside and then learning, or creating some courses on Swayam Plus like platforms. I tell my student, please do it up to 50%. I will cut short my faculty by 50%, or I'll engage my faculty for the betterment of my students at a level which need not necessarily be teaching in the classrooms. Now, in this connection, what bothers is the teacher is to student ratio. That's another. How do we handle that?
That's a very good question and very good observation. Let me answer that question. There are about 1200 universities in India, and there are 55,000 colleges which are affiliated to these 1200 universities, and leaving all the INIs, that is institutes of national importance, apart. Okay. They have about 4.34 crore students with about 15 lakh teachers. So the teacher student ratio works out to be 1:26-27. That is the normal ratio which is working out. Now, do you think this ratio is sufficient to teach a technical subject? Right? Now, once we are sending our students out, again these teachers are not sitting back and enjoying in the institutes. They are engaging with the students. Along with the industry, they are constantly monitoring the student, and they are also engaged in the formative assessment of the student. It's not easy to create a project which is outcome based. Creating that project itself is going to take a lot of time. Similarly, there are a number of courses which the institute can run inside the academy. Inside the academia, we can run number of courses, right? And these are skill based courses. These courses can be run by the present faculty only, and wherever there is no expertise available, by the time they acquire those expertise, we can bring people from outside. We can bring people from industry to teach those courses. So these teachers are really going to enjoy, because in today's times, they are not even enjoying their teaching.
True.
To that extent, unless they are really engaging with the students. Okay? So I don't see any challenge there, and there are going to be no attritions, I suppose, because that number will never go down. As it is really against the students.
Right, already.
It's already.
So, but then the colleges should not disincentivize recruitments. Just in case we understand that we can reduce the workload on the faculty.
Not at all. Workload will not really reduce in that sense, because workloads shape would change.
Yeah, may not be in the classroom, but outside the classroom. Yes. Evaluation.
And teacher would be much happier. Teacher would be able to learn more, will be able to connect with the rest of the class even more, because he is visiting the industry constantly. He is not even coming to the class and just teaching on the blackboard.
That's a good point. So such engagement should be incentivized.
Yes.
And documented and validated by the institutes.
Absolutely.
And universities.
Absolutely.
That again is going to be non-trivial, but maybe we should come out with SOP for that as well. Right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. In fact, this has already been taken into account when we are going for NAC accreditation. Okay? These are the points which are actually being watched.
I see.
And if some institute is already going for the implementation of NCrF, skill-based courses have been introduced, there are
some more points.
Much more points for that institution.
So as long as it becomes NAC and NBA friendly, I think we have solved the problem.
This is NAC friendly already. This is already included in the NAC.
I see. So one thing I like about NCrF is it's a nice, I would say fictitious story, but it's a nice one, where I imagine the first time I heard it, it was like a hitchhiker trying to go around universities, taking up courses and using even the model of RPL, where you can get your learning validated if not having undergone the course completely. It feels like a hippie's way of doing one entire bachelor's or master's program. While it sounds very good on the ears, is it practical? Now, can we then have, let's say, a digital university where you accrue points on your what is called the academic bank of credits online and show that to get a certificate? Let's say I run a university. I think nothing should stop me from looking at a student who has done a bunch of courses the hitchhiking way under the NCrF framework, completed everything, SWAYAM courses, properly proctored by professors. Why can't we give a BTech degree for such a student? What is the gap in what I'm thinking?
Excellent question. Excellent question. I'll answer this question in two parts. Firstly, some people ask that they want to acquire credits from various institutions, put them together and then get a degree. Okay. Now my question is, why would somebody like to do that in the first instance? It could be on account of the transfer of your parents, or change of state by you, or
marriage,
or some other family issues, okay, because of which. So there has to be some enabling clause that you can transfer your credits when you have to go and join some other institution. Okay, so that has been provided here. In fact, some of the institutions were fearing that if we allow this, if some institution is not good, there will be mass transfers from that particular institution, migrations from that institution to the other better institutions. They were fearing that.
Correct.
Right? But nothing of that sort happened. Why? Because this is an enabling provision. It doesn't mean that if somebody has obtained certain number of credits from a university, say in UP or in say West Bengal or say Punjab, he can come and he can ask IIT Ropar to give him admission because he wants to get a transfer here. No, the admission rules of that institutions would always apply.
Correct. And the quality standards.
Admission rules. Admission rules contain quality standards also.
Correct.
Whether it is through an examination or through the marks of certain examination or a fresh sort of assessment. No, all that is to be decided by the institute concerned.
So let's say we have a hypothetical question then. Let's say me and you start a private university tomorrow, and there we will identify some Swayam courses.
Can I answer that digital university part of
Perfect.
it? Right? Yeah. I was trying to answer. That was the second part which I wanted to answer. Now, the digital university concept, as you explained, is absolutely correct, right? And in fact, the digital university which is being conceived by the government is on those lines only. I think I feel it should be possible for a student to get few credits from one IIT and few credits from some IIMs and hands-on in the third institution. And then convert that whole thing into a degree, package that whole thing into a degree, right? Now, whether it could be a BTech degree or it could be a BSc degree or it could be a BA degree, that would be decided by the curricular structure. Because curricular structure would say whether hands-on work is required for the degree or not. If no hands-on work is required, or if that hands-on work can be done online, yes, degree can be given online. Like for example, IIT Madras is giving a BTech degree in data sciences. Okay? So in that case, they are holding the examination offline, while the entire teaching is online. They are providing materials, the teaching is done online, and the students are appearing offline. So that doesn't mean that their quality is diluting. Those examinations are really, really tough. They are even tougher than the examinations for the normal students, regular students.
I agree.
So yes, this is a way this should be done. And if India wants to achieve a GER, gross enrollment ratio of 50% by 2035, whereas in the last 75 years, till date we have achieved only 27%. So 27% to 50% in just 11 years, this is the way out. So we have to do it. So therefore, NCRF is just an enabling framework for achieving that.
Correct. So there my question about, I'll slightly digress and then talk about the attention span of a student. Hitchhiking actually sounds cool, but requires a lot of willpower from the part of the student.
Absolutely, I agree.
So with the declining attention span of our Gen Z, how is this even closer to reality? Can even with a university setup, with the attendance being made mandatory, we see attention span being very low for students. And now we are saying you can go around and then take credits. Maybe 5% of the Janta in our country are capable of doing this. Don't you think it's a Herculean task that we are proposing? You got the spirit of the question, right? So is this even feasible?
Number one, yes, it is feasible. Number two, we must also work on the attention span of our students, and that must start from the school syllabus, the way we teach them in school, the way we engage them in schools. Look at Australia. They are just bringing a law, they are banning social media for anybody who is below 16.
Very nice.
Right? And the law has just come. It was just being discussed in the media this week only. Okay? So progressively countries are realizing that we have to ban this culture of short videos, short spans. In few houses I've learned they have banned shorts for young kids. Because if they see shorts, their attention span is going to be 30 seconds only. This is where we learn from our Indian knowledge system. how to improve our concentration, how to sit for long hours, how to start reading a book and finish a book, how to make a précis out of the book, how to share your learnings from the book with others. This will have to be taught to every student by all of us together, in schools, in colleges, in universities, everywhere. And this is a universal problem. Not only that India is grappling with this problem, it's the entire world.
Entire world, right.
And people are trying to find their own solutions.
Sir, here's where I think there is a food for thought, where I will try to slightly disagree. Almost 90% I agree with what you said, but slightly disagree there, that I actually see a good news in the attention span related discussion that we had just now, where a youngster cannot watch a 10-minute video, but he can watch YouTube shorts for 3 full hours. I see a bad news in the first part, good news in the second. Now, we in our lab are trying to design if we can give lessons through YouTube shorts, but in continuous capsules. For instance, even in our own Gurukul culture, we would start off with first line of a verse. We say the guru will say ya evam veda, and then the students will say ya evam veda twice, and then he will go to the next line. Again they should say twice. He would give it in pieces of one line each. I see that as
this is a wonderful thought, but I think the students wants to see those short videos not in this same alignment.
Okay.
No, he wants every video different, and if he's not getting that video different, even a 2.5-year-old child will just switch it off and switch it on again.
Correct.
So that the algorithm will throw different kinds of videos every time.
Right? Now that is where the problem lies.
That is where the problem lies.
The algorithm is wicked there.
Yes.
We fix that with a nice algorithm and use fast food to deliver nutritious food.
Absolutely, we can. In fact, that is the smart way of doing it.
Right. I'm glad that you agree, because it's a big project we are trying to see if we can deliver.
No, you will be able to deliver. In fact, we are also working in Karam Yogi Bharat on the attention span of the employees, and this is our conclusion, that any employee will not be able to spend more than 7.5 minutes of attention span on one particular concept. And even in that 7.5 minutes, that concept is broken into 3 parts of 2 minutes each, followed by 30 seconds of some kind of question or some kind of engagement on that 2 minutes part. And that is how it's about 7.5, 8 minutes total. And then you can give him in one sitting, you can at most give him 3 concepts. So in all about 21 minutes, maximum 22 minutes. And that should be sufficient. Sometimes he takes these 22 minutes in 3 sittings, and he repeats it 3 times.
I see. Wonderful. I think such pedagogy should be studied further, and right. So in that connection, there are people who can do it fast, who are slow bloomers. In the era where we are slowly talking about slow productivity and the importance of it, we also discuss about educational acceleration. This looks a little, there's a huge disparity between talking about educational acceleration on one side and talking about slow productivity on the other. I'm confused here when we endorse.
There are some gifted minds always, and we are talking about gifted minds.
Different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely. So that
it's not
means
for all.
Not for all. We have to cater to such students as well. For example, in Olympiads, means that the student is ahead of others in one particular subject. So Olympiads in math or Olympiads in physics.
Right.
Okay. And then we also talk about hackathon. Student is so smart that he is able to solve practical issues, practical problems, using his present knowledge, his knowledge of ideas and technology, and that too in a limited time. That is the hackathon is all about. So in a limited time, you are given a problem and you are able to come up with the most feasible solution, which is closest to the real solution. So you have cracked the hackathon. So they should also be creditized, and that is what NCRF allows.
So I'm coming there. That's the most enticing part of NCRF, hackathon being created. But let me just move around the educational acceleration topic for a minute. You're saying that a student, if he's really smart, should be encouraged to finish his BTech degree in 2 years without loss of, high quality organic knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. If he is able to achieve those learning outcomes,
So what's the
whatever
problem?
have been defined
Correct.
for the award of the degree, and you properly test those learning outcomes through a rigorous method, why not?
Why not? Yeah. That's a very good thought. Why is it that we have not thought about all these things worldwide so far? Why?
See, why this was not even thought about? Because the framework never existed. And in education, things are last to change. Okay? Because in education, most people, they go by the proven path, especially in teaching, not in research. Right? And now NCRF, since NCRF allows all these possibilities, all these options are now open. So now these options are being tried by various institutions. And I have met a number of vice chancellors. In fact, as part of our exercise to take this NCRF to various universities, I, along with the chairman UGC, we have addressed various conferences in various corners of the country, all 5 places, no, all 4 regions, and the central region. We invited about 200 vice chancellors at each place, and we conducted a 1-day workshop, addressed them, and addressed all their questions. We did that. And that has been done not only once, but at least twice.
Multiple times, I see.
Also, we have engaged with all the directors of the IITs, all the directors of IIMs, all the directors of NITs, all IISR directors, and INIs. And we have engaged with the best of the engineering colleges. That has already been done. And now we are also making it part of the teachers training program, NCRF. We are trying to create courses on this, around this, and teach it as part of the teachers training.
NCRF awareness, basically.
Yes, basically. It's a small document, it's a 95-page document, and our teachers are so intelligent, they are so evolved.
They can pick quickly.
They can pick quickly. If they want to implement, every solution is there in NCRF. And if somebody doesn't want to implement, then he is so genius that he'll always find a way
to create impedance.
Yes.
I would, although there is a beautiful SOP written there, as I see, I still feel this NCRF framework is more of a no rule. So beautifully, people are removing all possible handcuffs that education has converged to. But with that comes a problem of a typical academician, let's say like me. I've been into academics in the past 20 years. I think this is the way it should be done. And I close my ears. I don't listen to you. I will look that side and say, this is not going to work. How do you convince such academicians?
You wonderfully put it, because that was the basic objective, to open all these shackles. But those shackles have been opened in a framework. And that framework is very solid. And unless that framework is underneath, this will all be shattered. Now, we don't want it to be shattered. For example, 1200 hours of learning per year has been presumed. 40 credits per year are to be given at school level, at college level, at university level, for skilling institutions, for ITIs, for polytechnics, everywhere, whether it is a class 8 student or it is a MTech student, it's 40 credits per year. That is the framework. Okay? Learning outcomes will have to be defined pre-hand. NCRF level will have to be defined pre-hand. Number of credits will have to be defined beforehand. And the assessment method. And then you have to notify this. Again, this is part of the framework. So though you have been given full freedom, but freedom within that framework.
Yeah.
So that nothing goes haywire.
Right.
Okay. Now, academicians, if they want to be creative with this framework, there is no limit.
True. So you're saying hackathons can be credited.
It is
now that makes it limitless.
Absolutely.
Because I would say I'll call for a hackathon of all the colleges in and around, and I'll give them half a credit for participating.
Why
in the
half a
hackathon?
credit? Give them 2 credits. Give them a problem which can be solved in 120 hours with 120 hours of learning. So use as many outcomes as are available from a 120 hour learning. Right? If they pass that test, they deserve those credits. So it's up to you. It's up to the difficulty of the problem.
So this is wonderful, but as and always with every wonderful things comes with a small caveat, and that is, we teachers, we love going to the class, teaching and coming out. Except that one additional thing that we can do is evaluating the answer scripts. Anything over and top of this is difficult for us, because it's going to be time consuming for us. And we also have our research mandates and things like that. So don't you think many of these things will at least appearingly discourage a young professor, because he will now think teaching comes with a lot of workload?
I feel the other way around.
Okay.
I feel that this is going to
reduce,
draw best brains into education. So far, we cannot say that we have been getting best brains in education, except for few top institutions. The rest of the people, they have chosen it not as a preferred option, but as one of the options. Why? Because this was not very creative. It was not very enjoyable. And with NCRF, you make it so open and so enjoyable.
even adventurous. Yeah.
However, there would be certain people who wouldn't like to work. For them, no, it is the same problem either here or in the industry.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Anywhere. So we have to really make them understand that unless they adapt to this, students will not attend their classes. As it is, you will agree with me that most of the students are not sitting in the classes. It's very difficult to capture them in the classrooms.
So minimize classrooms and increase
You can't capture their attention in the classrooms unless you engage them in a different way. And NCRF provides you with all the alternatives, and you still call it education. You still creditize everything.
Correct. Most of it is outside classrooms here, right?
Yes.
I mean, whatever we are calling skill-based courses are mostly outside classrooms. So in that connection, what fascinated me is the RPL, which is recognizing prior learning. Assume I am walking into a bachelor's program knowing good amount of physics. It is BS in physics, BSc in physics. I know good amount of physics. I don't want to undergo the mundane, climb the ladder one CD at a time way. Can I go to the teacher and then tell him, recognize my prior learning, give me a certificate?
Absolutely. The recognition of prior learning is the same concept, that if you know the learning outcomes beforehand, why should you be forced to go through the same course and waste your time? Why can't the time be used for making you learn something better where you have interest? Okay? So the recognition of prior learning has been designed in such a way so that you predefine the learning outcomes and you test those learning outcomes with a lot of integrity. Okay. Integrity is very important here.
That's an important parameter, right?
That's the most important parameter here. Now, for the first time, UGC is actually thinking about RPL in the institution. So they have approved the draft guidelines on RPL, and those have been put in the public space for public consultation. Okay, they are on the web. This provides, I was part of sort of that discussion which happened, and this provides that the first semester the student cannot have that basic advantage of RPL. He cannot say that I will miss first semester the entire semester as a whole, right? Once he joins the institution, thereafter he can always say that I have done this course on my own, or I have done it through self-study. You tell me the learning outcomes, and I will sit for your assessment.
So basically there is a capping also, is it? How many courses you can make it to go? And
yes, there is a capping, because otherwise everyone will say that I will do RPL, aap certificate mere ghar bhej dena. No, it's not that. So the capping is that for any course, up to 50% of the time or up to 50% of the credits can be earned either through online courses or through RPL or through apprenticeship and internship. Okay, so 50% of the time the student is coming to the institute in any case. That is to make sure that we don't dilute the quality. Maybe in future the academia will change it in favor of the RPL or in favor of the apprenticeship. But as of today, this is what has been provided.
50 is a significant number, as we can see. And also what I see is, let's say 18-year-old me thinks that I can afford any kind of education if I can earn it in my 50% part. Assuming I'm doing apprenticeship, it gives me some non-trivial money, at least enough for me to eat and stay in a place.
Absolutely, you said it. In fact, there are certain companies or certain institutions who are now working around that they will teach the entire engineering to the student in first 2.5 years. They won't waste their time in basic physics and basic chemistry, which we are talking about. And after that, they will send them out on apprenticeship for 1.5 years. During that period, the student will earn almost the full salary, or at least close to the full salary, right? And those students are to be placed in highly reputed companies like Google, Microsoft, Oracle, some of the top companies in the world. And those companies will also pay to the institute some money for those placements, for those apprenticeships.
Got it.
And that will subsidize the cost of the education for the other students who are here in the institute for 2.5 years.
Very nice model. Anyone can afford model, rather,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I see. So a couple of questions before we end the discussion is, workplace sincerity, industry related soft skills is something which we hear the industry complain to us that students miss. Again, this is a problem of the globe, not just our institute or our country. This is never integrated into the curriculum properly, which I think is very important, both sincerity, moral dimensions being in place. What are the ways in which NEP with the NCRF framework encourages one to develop soft skills?
Okay. Number one, the curricular structure now specifically provides for employability skills, soft skills and life skills. So focus really comes on to that. Earlier this was not there. Secondly, for all skill-based courses, and especially the courses which are approved by the NCVT under National Skill Qualification Framework, it is provided that at least 10% of the time of the student must go on to soft skills. That means if a 600 hours course, so 60 hours will have to be devoted, shall be devoted on the soft skills. It could be more. Okay. For a 1 year course, it is 120 hours. Okay. So we picked up the critical learning outcomes, no? The generic learning outcomes which every student must gain as a graduate. So the graduate outcomes, generic graduate outcomes, they contain all these soft skills, and these soft skills also form part of the level descriptors. Based on a particular soft skill, you will get a particular level in the NCRF. That course will be rated either at level 5.5 or at level 6. Okay? So, we make sure that student is given that level of soft skill. Like for example, leadership skill or negotiation skill, conflict resolution skill, cross-cultural competency. There are 6 kinds of thinking itself. There is adaptive thinking, computational thinking, critical thinking, then you have creative thinking, you have innovative thinking, you have design thinking. Now, all these 6 kinds of thinking will have to be taught to the student, and they are different. They are different, and they are differently used for various purposes, and we have to integrate those skills in the courses. These skills cannot be just taught on a standalone basis. Yes, you can explain it to them, but ultimately you have to apply these skills to make them perfect. So, that is how it is being done.
I see, wonderful. So you think that the cognitive budget on the teachers will not increase, in fact it will decrease, given that it will give them more time to talk and interact with students?
Why are we really bothered about that cognitive time? See, teacher is one who has dedicated his life to the student. आचार्य जो अपने आचरण से सिखाता है, ठीक है, but for sure teacher will enjoy it more, and his cognitive load will not really increase in that parlance, you know. It's not a rote kind of either teaching or learning, you know. It will be a very thoughtful process, cognitive process, through which he will also be enjoying along with the students. He will feel more satisfied, and even better people will come and join the education stream from the industry and vice versa. Some people will go from here to the industry, and
correct,
and there will be more collaboration and more exchange between the two.
A typical faculty is judged based on some 2-3 dimensions. Maybe we should incentivize a teacher to help implement the NCRF framework, and that should also be incentivized, let's say in promotions or in increments. One has to see how well the faculty has been integrating these new ideas into the curriculum.
You are very right, but we don't want to use any stick against this, you know. This is something which is in the interest of the teacher, which is in the interest of the institute, which is in the interest of the student and in the national interest. So, we understand that our teachers, they are fully aware of this, and they are very conscientious. Though for a very few of them you may need some kind of measures to just explain.
Excluding the majority
of them. Mostly,
no,
it has to come
good intent,
with good intent on their own, self-motivation.
Correct. So, I have one last question, sir. This has been my observation. Whenever I go to a college and talk to them about NCRF, they are thrilled, they are fascinated, but they will say, there is a popular joke that God gives a boon but the priest stops it. So, they are not very sure if their affiliate university will allow this, or for that matter they even know about this framework. So, every single university encourages an affiliate college to follow NCRF framework. If not, how do we apprise them? Has there been any initiative where the vice chancellors of the university are?
Absolutely, no, that's a very good question you asked, and this is where I need help from people like you. Let us first deal with the fountainhead, and the fountainhead is the university, because unless university adapts to a particular way of teaching, a particular framework, particular courses, it is difficult for the constituent colleges to adapt the same unless they are autonomous. though in the scheme of things now, in next 15 years, most of the top institutions, top colleges are going to be autonomous. I presume that out of 55,000, at least 50% will be autonomous. They would have evolved. So they'll be able to adapt to any new way of teaching. The NCrF adoption will be much easier. But till then, we have to really take our universities also along. And this is where you and me can make a difference.
Maybe one step at a time, trying to get 5 universities to begin with, let's say IITs to begin with, and then NITs.
Yes,
and then
yeah, absolutely. No, IITs, they have area of influence. No, if IITs, they call a meeting of all the universities which are in the catchment area, there is no reason the universities will not listen. Right? So you have to lead the way. That's what I'm saying. IITs will have to lead the way. If they lead the way, the world will move.
Be the change that we want to see. So in this connection, I think although we thought we'll have a podcast in this topic, looks like it's going to be a series of podcasts on this topic. I'm sure once people watch what we have spoken, there will be more questions. I myself had 25 questions, I could ask only 5. So let's keep the rest for the upcoming sequels of this episode.
I'll be happy to engage on this topic anytime you like, anytime you have questions. Anybody can ask any number of questions, and I'm always there to answer or to help to best of my knowledge. Thank you.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you very much.